What's up, gamers? This is Shikamaru's twin, also known as Ninja, bringing you another episode of Gamer's Voice. This series is a viewer-sponsored series. How this works is that you guys leave a comment down below and tell me what you guys want to talk about next week. I will pick the most liked comment, and I will make sure to make it my next week's topic. And if you are the person that supplied the topic and you want to be on the show, I will pick one of you guys to get on with me, and we'll do a little bit of an interview, and I will throw you into the next video. So this week was brought to me by Tic Tac Pilgrim, who asked me if we could really look at cutscenes and how they're used in modern gaming, if we think that it's become a crutch for narrative storytelling to really fall back on it during games, if it's too saturated and stuff like that. So I got a hold of gamerslifttoo and asked him what he thought about it. So how do you think they should be used? How do you think they could be used effectively? Or should we just get rid of them completely? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, as far as cutscenes go, I know they were a huge thing back when they first started coming into gaming. Everyone thought it was such a cool idea that, we were getting like these movie-like segments that would add a lot more, personality to these games, and it kind of blurred the line between what like a game and a movie were. But I think it's been taken to a little bit of an extreme recently. And I think one of the games that really started this trend was Metal Gear Solid. Now, I think those cutscenes are great, and they add like a really good dynamic, but after you finish a game, to sit through a 2 or so hour long cutscene can be a little ridiculous, especially for the average person. I think cutscenes are cool, but I don't think that they should impede on gameplay or even come close to taking up half of the amount of time that it takes for a normal playthrough.
So what do you think about the Order 1886, how they did the not pre-rendered cutscene? So as you kind of entered into that, it did the cutscene right then and there. Did you like that? What did you think about that as an overall mechanic for cutscenes?
Well, as far as the Order 1886 goes, I honestly have a big problem with that game. I don't think anyone should have paid $60 for that game. I wouldn't have even paid $30 for the game, honestly. It's barely even a video game. It's 5 hours long, and 2.5 hours of the game is cutscenes, and maybe even more. That is taken to a completely new extreme. I don't like that at all. I don't care if it's telling a good story. I don't care if it's a really cool experience. It should have been a movie, not a game. That has no place on a console, honestly. And I think they've taken the dynamic of, say, Naughty Dog games, for instance, like Uncharted or The Last of Us. Those are very linear, story-based games. They have a lot of cutscenes and they rely on heavy narrative. But there's still a good amount of gameplay. I'm not saying those games are my favorite, but if you're going to do a narrative-driven game, that's the way you should do it. The Order 1886 completely blew it out of proportion. I'm guessing they tried to, take what Naughty Dog did and try to do that themselves, but in my opinion, it just failed miserably, and I don't think we should support games like that.
So I recently picked up Battlefield Hardline, and they did it the episodic way where you could play, 1 or 2 episodes, and it did like the, you'd play your episode, it had the intro, and then it had your meaty part of the game where you actually played, and then it had your outro where it would tell you next time on blah, 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 Battlefield Hardline. So do you like this style of gameplay? Because personally, I think that it was kind of a nicer change of pace because it made me feel like I was watching more of a cop drama rather than, just sitting there playing a game. Or do you think that that's kind of a cheap cop-out to what they were doing?
In terms of the episodic style, I think that is a cool idea. But I also think there have been many games in the past to get that wrong. For example, Alone in the Dark, the reboot that came out for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and the Wii, they tried to do something like that. And that game was complete garbage. That was a terrible, terrible game, and just nothing about that game was good, including that. But I like the idea of having that in a game like Battlefield Hardline, where it kind of gives it like, ooh, you're watching a crime drama on TV. That kind of adds a little bit of immersion to it. But I don't like literal episodic format where chunks of the game are released in episodes. I don't like that at all. I don't think that's a good way to tell the story. I think that's a cheap cash grab. Like, I would have bought in Resident Evil Revelations 2 if it wasn't for the episodic format. Now that they have a full release, I'm thinking about getting it, but I really don't like when you're really into a game and you have to wait, 2 weeks or so more to continue the story. I don't think that's how games should be played. But if it's within the whole package, I definitely think that can be used as a cool way to show cutscenes.
All right, so final verdict from you. Do you think that we should keep cutscenes the way they are? Or do you think we should try a new style of game where it just lops them off completely and really lets the game tell what it is? Or do you think we should find a happy medium and kind of figure out something that's a little bit different? I personally think that a change of pace without all of the cutscenes would be nice for a little while, but what do you think on this?
I definitely don't think that we should continue this trend. I think, something needs to be done. Someone has to rethink the way that cutscenes are portrayed. And I honestly think gamers in general are kind of lashing out at this, approach. I think we might actually get a change here. So I do think there needs to be a happy medium, but a little more on the side of, less showing you, more of pushing you through an experience where you're involved as well. Again, in a game like a turn-based RPG, for example, like some of the old Final Fantasies, you couldn't have really told the story in any other way than stopping the gameplay and, showing a little scene. But in games that are very action-heavy and where the player normally has complete control over movement and things like that, stopping the game for 30 minutes to an hour can be a little ridiculous, especially when it's done over and over. So I definitely think we need to reach a happy medium, but I think it is going in that direction. I think gamers aren't really going to like this quick time event, cutscene heavy style of development that's been happening in recent years.
Well, guys, that's what gamerslifttoo and I had to say about this topic, but let's see what you guys have to say. Leave a comment down below and tell us, do you agree with our opinion? Do you not agree with our opinion? Do you really think that cutscenes are something that we need to keep doing in the exact way that we've been doing? Let us know down below. Also, leave a comment for next week's video. Let me know what you guys want to see. If you like the video, definitely smack the like button, and if you want to come back for more, hit the subscribe button. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate your views, and I hope to see you again next week.
I know these guys, they're crazy!